Hollywood taking yet another crack at the 2008 financial crisis with the release of The Big Short in theaters this week.
You have any idea what you just did? You just bet against the American economy.
If you're wrong, you can lose it all. The banks defrauded the American people.
A group of investors make a big bet against the U.S. economy and win big in the lead up to the bursting of the housing bubble almost 10 years ago now. But some critics say The Big Short, in short, on facts and does not paint the whole picture. We want to bring in housing insiders Tim Rood and Jason Meister to discuss what really happened and who exactly is to blame for the housing crisis. Tim, let me start with you. You used to work at Fannie Mae, do you feel that you and your colleagues deserve some of the blame?
No, I mean, hey, look, they've written 10 books and probably 10 movies, and this is a pretty nuanced topic. I mean, Fannie Mae, by itself, certainly had a role in it, but I think they were kind of dragged into this thing just by Wall Street and the fact that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's market share was dropping through the floor, and they're a monoline insurance company. It's not like they're going to get into, open pancake houses or get into nuanced financial instruments. I mean, they had to be in the market based on their regulations. So they did what they had to do, but they certainly were not a catalyst. They were more of a casualty.
Jason, it was a moment in time where things were happening and you didn't really know why they were happening, right? So housing prices just kept going up. I mean, you take one market like Phoenix, right? So the price of a home, an average home in Phoenix was up 40% from 2006 to 2007 for no real reason. So there were all these things happening that were questionable, and yet people just thought, well, housing prices will still go up.
Right. And really, what this movie's lacking is the fact that government was pushing loans on people that couldn't afford them. The home ownership rate in this country from World War II until the 1990s was hovering mid 50%. In 1990, when we did the Community Reinvestment Act, it soared to like 70%. That was the problem, not Wall Street fat cats. We muddied the waters, and then the sharks came in and fed. Why are we going to blame the sharks?
Well, there's probably a lot of blame to go around, including the media, by the way. But I do remember certain senators and congressmen, Sandra, at that moment in time saying, everybody should have a house.
Yeah, with absolutely no skin in the game.
Yeah.
No skin.
The government is not even, as I understand it, and I will not and cannot go see this movie. I mean, Steve Carell and Brad Pitt, really, do you think they did their research before acting?
And all of a sudden, they're all about, it's Wall Street's fault.
Well, honestly,
Hollywood, get on the bandwagon.
Have we ever really seen Hollywood get a Wall Street movie right? But there's no acknowledgement I've read.
Well, I would say Wall Street with Michael Douglas was pretty good.
Well, to be clear, Wall Street, everyone has a part in this. To name one person or to name one entity is ridiculous. But people really do get a chance to see the inner workings of Wall Street. We're going through this right now. There is a zillion people on Wall Street who all get paid to not believe the market's going down. There's a whole load of excess in multiple commodity markets, multiple industries. Kinder Morgan yesterday and everybody's retirement account. It happens.
Right.
So and people should understand that.
Yeah, it gives people an ability to show you how, like, this movie, isn't it about real analysts who said, you know what? Wall Street's sell-side research and the media that supports it is dead wrong.
I think this movie was a Bernie Sanders ad. It was complete propaganda.
Totally.
You had Ryan Gosling with Jenga cubes saying that the housing market was falling.
That's different.
It's the biggest joke.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it really is ridiculous.
Yeah. But you see my point on, like, it's not just like we do have to tell the story of how Wall Street and what I affectionately call old wall media really gets it really wrong a lot of the time.
I think Brad Pitt needs to take a finance class.
Yeah. Tim, jump in here. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think the movie, what they really called out was the fact that, greed basically trumps morality. And, I was going back through all of these different things. It was like going back to my high school reunion or looking at my yearbook. And you're like, what the hell are we thinking, right? I mean, at some level it's comical, but otherwise it's so sad what happened. But there's blame up and down the curve. I mean, all the way from the borrower to the realtor.
Main Street's going to go see this movie, Maria, and they're going to take this. They're going to take this as fact.
Right. Go watch Creed, everyone. Go watch Creed.
And there's a difference between intentionally knowing and trying to commit fraud and just being stupid.
Yeah, there's a huge difference.
Okay, so
fraud and misrepresentation are not the same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's an important point because, again, being willfully blind, if you're compensated to do so, what does that sound like? That's Wall Street.
The bigger problem is that we're repeating all the same mistakes. We drop down payments to 3%. Okay, that's half of a commission that a broker makes on a house. We cut the FHA insurance. We are insane. We're making the same. We're repeating the same.
Do
exact
you
mistakes.
think we are in the bubble that we were in 2006 right now?
I don't think we're in the same bubble. I think we've inflated values through keeping federal monetary policy at 0% for 8 years. So I think we're due for a correction, especially in markets like New York City, Miami, San Francisco. Land prices are through the roof.
Yeah, you know what? I was with a real estate person the other night, and I said to her, would you buy right now? She said, absolutely not. She said, but this don't say I said it. I mean,
Well, yeah, no, but everything changed after this, right? I mean, the psychology behind owning a home has changed.
That's right.
As a result of that crisis.
Especially among millennials.
Totally.
all right, so real quick, Jason and Tim, should somebody have gone to jail? Should someone have faced criminal charges or not?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, from my point of view, there's two ways of looking at this. I mean, there's the prosecutorial discretion, right? So they look at this and they say, look, this is kind of a ball of yarn. If I start prosecuting one person, I can go all the way down the chain to the appraisers and whatnot, the borrowers who were predatory borrowing, misrepresenting the things. I mean, it's almost endless when you think about what it would take all the people accountable or culpable. But the other issue is there's a bigger preponderance. It's harder to prove criminal liability than it is to prove civil liability.
Right.
And the burden of proof is so much higher that I think that if you look at how complex these cases were, they made a judgment call that said probably, but best we're going to do are these huge civil judgments. And a couple $100 billion does change some attitudes.
I would actually look at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue instead of Wall Street.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, politicians pushing loans on people that couldn't afford them. That's what created this mess, not Wall Street, big, fat, greedy fat cats, the picture that we keep hearing from movies and Hollywood. I think it's government.
Yep.
Well, maybe that movie would be on PBS, but the other one's a better story.
Well, we just got to
Probably
get
more
Brad
accurate.
Pitt to shave.
Who's producing that movie?
Gotta get Brad Pitt to shave the flow, grow a beard, and he can be the Ben
Is it
Bernanke.
fair to make the comparison to student loans today and the problem that we're witnessing there in the bubble?
I think there's definitely comparisons that can be made. Yeah.
All right,
Well, we'll see if that plays out the same way. I mean, there's only 3 ways out of a credit bubble, right? So you got the same thing with student loans. You grow your way out, and sub 2% GDP, that's not going to do much. You can inflate your way out, which we're pretty darn comfortable with on the QE,
Right.
or we default, and we're not comfortable defaulting. Organizations,
Scary.
people, companies,
Great
it's
summer.
going to happen.
Hey, by the way, you're expecting defaults in the energy space? That's the word right now.
I'm expecting that too.
You are?
Yeah.
That's going to be bad for the markets. Jason Meister, Tim Wood, good to see you both.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So you're giving it the thumbs down for this movie. All right. Go see Creed, according to Jason. Thank you, gentlemen. Futures losing.